It is common knowledge that knit fabrics have elasticity, but crochet fabrics do not. However, I came up with a method that can stretch the fabric even with crochet, and named it Zigzag Crochet. Strictly speaking, even with existing methods, you can increase elasticity by doing back loop single crochet, but the direction of stretching is different between BLSC and zigzag crochet. While BLSC stretches in the vertical direction against the rows, zigzag crochet stretches in the horizontal direction. This is a very innovative and user-friendly point. Because if you want to fit cylindrical fabrics such as gloves and socks to the human body, you need to stretch it horizontally. In this video series, I will explain how to do zigzag crochet by dividing it into 3 stages of beginner, intermediate and advanced. In the beginner's class, you will learn the basic way to move a hook and be able to make simple shapes. The beginner's course is divided into 5 steps. First, let's learn how to make a zigzag crochet stitch from a common stitch like single crochet. In the end, you will be able to make a fabric that is entirely composed of zigzag crochet including the foundation chains. Here is a flat fabric made with single crochet. Let's try the zigzag crocheting from the next row. By the way, the number of stitches per row is an even number. First, rotate the fabric clockwise. It is an image that the hand of the clock moves from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. In the case of the normal crocheting method, you turn the fabric counterclockwise, but in the zigzag crochet, it is the opposite. Please note here. Next, I will crochet the beginning chain stitch. At this time, turn the hook to the front and then crochet a chain. Turn the fabric clockwise and turn the hook to the front to crochet a chain. This is the beginning procedure. Let's start with zigzag crochet from here. To put it simply, zigzag crochet is a single crochet plus a motion to rotate a hook. However, unlike the usual single crochet, the back loop and the front loop are picked up alternately and crocheted. Also, when you insert a hook into the stitch, insert the hook from the center toward the outside. Let's actually crochet it according to these rules. Start with the stitch on the other side. When crocheting the stitch on the other side, turn the hook over there, insert the hook from the center to the outside, and crochet in a single crochet motion. It will be easier to crochet if you hold down the yarn with your thumb. Next, I will crochet the front stitch. When crocheting the front stitch, turn the hook to the front, insert the hook from the center to the outside, and crochet in a single crochet motion. In this way, the other side, the front side, the other side, and the front side are crocheted repeatedly. Before you get used to it, it's better to put the hook back to the basic position every time you crochet one, so you won't get confused. The basic position is that there is a hook in front of the crocheting yarn. Turn the hook over there, crochet the stitch on the other side and return to the basic position. Turn the hook to the front, crochet the front stitch and return to the basic position. Turn the hook over there again, and so on. Here are 2 common mistakes. When you crochet the stitch on the other side, it is wrong to pull it out without putting a thread. Just like when you make a single crochet, let's put a thread on the hook and pull it out. When you crochet the front stitch, be careful how you put the hook in. Normally, you want to insert the hook from the front to the back, but here, you insert the needle according to the rule from the center to the outside. The number of stitches of one row of zigzag crochet is an even number, so the end of the row is done by crocheting the front stitch. If you look at the stitches crocheted up to this point from above, they are zigzag-like facing away, hand forward, facing away, hand forward. This structure is the origin of the name zigzag crochet. Next, let's crochet the second row. The beginning chain is the same as described earlier. Turn the fabric clockwise and turn the hook towards the front to make a chain. This is okay. Just like the first row, you crochet the other side, the front side, the other side, and the front side. You may be a little confused about how to insert the hook because the stitches are zigzag, but the basic rule is the same. Insert the hook from the center to the outside. It may be easier to understand if you think that you put a hook perpendicular to the stitch of the previous row. When you get used to it, you can crochet it more smoothly by omitting the movement of returning to the basic position. After crocheting the front stitch, do not return to the basic position, but turn the hook to the other side. After crocheting the stitch on the other side, turn the hook compactly to the stitch on the front side. Please check the expansion and contraction of the fabric after crocheting several rows. You will be surprised at the stretch performance that conventional crochet does not have. In step 2, you will learn how to make a zigzag crochet from a circular fabric. The basic movement is the same as flat crocheting, but the point is how to connect the beginning and the end of the rows. Here is the one which is crocheted into a cylindrical shape with single crochet. Let's try the zigzag crochet from the next row. First, turn the needle to the front and then make a chain stitch. Do zigzag crocheting while turning the hook alternately from the other side, the front side, the other side, and the front side. This procedure is the same as for flat crocheting. I crochet it to the end of the row. The number of stitches for one row is an even number, so it should end with crocheting the front side stitch at the end. Here, you rotate the fabric. The rotation is clockwise as in flat crocheting. Insert your left index finger into the loop and remove the hook. Then insert a hook into the first stitch of the row. If you look closely at the first stitch, the loop is twisted. Insert the hook as if through the both threads of the twisted loop, and insert the hook again into the loop you took with your index finger. Pull out the loop and connect the edge of the row. In the next row, you will see the fabric from the wrong side and make a zigzag crochet. There is no change in the crocheting method itself. Turn the hook to the front side and crochet the chain. Then, do zigzag crocheting on the back side, front side, back side, front side. When you finish crocheting one row, you turn the fabric again to connect the ends. In the next row, you crochet while looking at the front. In other words, the circular crocheting of the zigzag crochet is basically the same as the flat crocheting, in which the crocheting goes back and forth, to which the operation of connecting the ends of the row is added. Now, I have a little bit to add to the operation of connecting the edges of the rows. Basically, you threw 2 threads of twisted loop and connect them, but for the last row, it looks more beautiful if you threw only 1 thread that you can see above. This completes the circular crocheting of the zigzag crochet. Up to this point, we have talked about zigzag crochet as a zigzag version of single crochet. In fact, other stitches can also be zigzag. In step 3, I will explain zigzag chain, which is a zigzag version of chain stitch. Try to crochet zigzag chains from the middle of the row of zigzag crochet. This is a state where the front stitch is made by zigzag crochet. Turn the hook to the other side and then make a chain stitch. Next, turn the hook to the front side to make a chain. Turn the hook to the other side and to the front side alternately while crocheting. It will be easier to crochet if you shift the position where you hold the chain with your finger each time you crochet 2 stitches. The zigzag structure of the other side, the front side, the other side and the front side continues even in the chain stitch part. You can also go back to zigzag crochet from zigzag chain. Now, I am in the state of crocheting the front side of the zigzag chain. Turn the hook to the other side and through the loop of the zigzag crochet and crochet it. Now we're back to the base fabric. If you use this, you can make a hole in the middle of the zigzag crochet fabric. Let's take a look at how to through the loop in the zigzag chain part in the next row. The zigzag structure is continuous from the usual zigzag crochet part, so it is okay to through the loop in the same way. This completes the explanation of the zigzag chain. In step 4, we use zigzag chain to crochet the foundation chain. Instead of starting zigzag crochet from a regular fabric, by starting zigzag crochet from the foundation, you can stretch the entire fabric. In the case of normal chain stitch, you start crocheting by applying the hook from the other side of the thread, but in the case of zigzag chain, you apply the hook from the front side of the thread. Turn the hook to the front and crochet a chain. It will be easier to crochet if you hold the point where the threads cross with your fingers. Unlike ordinary chain, it does not tighten the stitch you just crocheted. Hold the first stitch you just crocheted with your finger, turn the hook to the front side again, and crochet the chain. This is the key point. Rotate the first stitch held with your finger halfway to the other side. You now have the first 2 stitches of a zigzag chain. After that, turn the hook to the other side to crochet 1 chain, turn the hook to the front to crochet 1 chain, and repeat it. It will be easier to crochet if you shift the position where you hold the chain with your finger each time you crochet the 2 stitches. Also, if you do this, even if the hook comes off in the middle, you can go back to the position you hold and start over. With this, a zigzag chain is crocheted. The number of stitches is even. Let's crochet the first row using this as a foundation chain. Turn the hook to the front and crochet a chain. Turn the hook to the other side, through the loop of the chain and make a zigzag crochet stitch. Turn the hook to the front and make a zigzag crochet stitch. Repeat this. It may be hard to know which thread to through before you get used to it, but let's through the thread that is zigzag when you see it from above. Also, it is effective to remember that when you crochet the stitch on the other side, you aim at the loop where two threads go in. The last stitch of the foundation chain is connected to the end of the thread. Through this thread and crochet a zigzag stitch to complete the first row. Step 5 explains the development from the second row onward. There are 3 patterns of this. There are 3 ways to make a flat fabric: a tube with circular crocheting, or a long and narrow elliptical fabric. First, let's make a flat fabric. This is the same as crocheting a zigzag fabric from a regular fabric. Turn the fabric clockwise and turn the hook to the front side to make a chain stitch. Crochet in a zigzag pattern. On the other side, on the front side, on the other side, on the front side. Next, let's try a circular crocheting. This is basically the same as the way I explained before, but there are some caveats. Here is a zigzag crochet from the foundation chain to the first row. It is easier to practice with a long one. Turn the fabric clockwise. Take the loop with your left index finger and remove the hook. Align the edges of the rows and insert the needle into the first stitch and pull out the loop. At this time, instead of through the whole loop, insert the needle as if through only one thread. From here, it is the same as the circular crocheting method you learned in step 2. At this time, I explained that only the last row through one thread and pull out the loop. In the case of zigzag crochet from the foundation chain, you threw only one thread even in the first row and pull out the loop and connect it. Let's take a look at how to weave in the ends. If you look at the foundation chain from the bottom, it has a zigzag structure. Thread is passed through so that this zigzag structure is continuous. All you have to do is to thread the back of the fabric. There is no strict rule, but it is better to pass vertically instead of horizontally. Because the fabric of zigzag crochet stretches in the lateral direction but hardly changes in the vertical direction. The end of the thread at the end of crocheting is processed so that the zigzag structure continues. If you pass the end of the thread through the last stitch, the zigzag structure will continue. Depending on the number of rows, at this time, the end of the thread may come out to the front side of the fabric, but in this case, you pass the thread through the next stitch and take it out to the back side. After that, just like before, you can put a thread on the back side. Finally, let's crochet a long and narrow ellipse. It is where the first row is crocheted through the loop in the upper half of the zigzag chain stitch. In fact, there is a zigzag thread on the bottom half too, so you can through this thread and crochet it. Turn the hook to the other side and crochet a stitch. Turn it to the front and crochet a stitch. Repeat this. When it has finished crocheting to the end, connect it to the first stitch in the same way as circular crochet. From here on, the shape has changed a little, but it is the same as circular crochet. If you pile up the rows like this, a bag-shaped crocheted fabric will be completed. That's all for the beginner's course. With what you have learned so far, you can make something like a hairband. In the intermediate part, you will learn techniques to make more detailed adjustments and arrangements. Specifically, I will explain how to increase and decrease the number of stitches, how to bind and squeeze the fabric, how to add threads and how to change colors. Thank you for watching.